The 150-meter fishing vessel cuts through calm gray swells as the crew preps for a long night. A sudden squall rolls in, hammering the deck with cold rain and rising wind noise. Gloved hands bait large circle hooks with oily fish chunks, working fast under harsh deck lights.
They feed the main line over the stern, floats and leaders sliding into black water in a steady rhythm.
The hauler spins up, chains clanking as the crew braces for whatever the deep decides to send back.
Far from the boat, a massive shape swells the surface and collapses, leaving a boiling ring of foam. A thick tentacle breaks the surface beside the hull, suction cups flashing pale before it slips back down.
The line comes tight, and the hauler groans like it's lifting a small truck out of the ocean.
They guide the slick, purple-gray mass to the rail, using long poles to keep fingers clear of suction cups. A second surface surge appears miles away, a giant arm cresting like a wave and vanishing instantly. They guide the slick, purple-gray mass to the rail, using long poles to keep fingers clear of suction cups. The octopus heaves, lifting half its body out, then slaps down hard, sending spray over the camera.
A crewman clips a heavy sling under the mantle, and the crane line tightens with a metallic whine.
The lift starts slowly, the mantle rising while arms drag behind like wet cables across the rail.
The octopus clears the rail, dripping sheets of water, then thrashes once, forcing the crew to step back.
They pin the mantle with padded boards, keeping the hook point visible while avoiding any cutting on deck.
He twists the pliers until the hook releases from the 2,000-ton supergiant octopus, and everyone exhales.
The 2,000-ton supergiant octopus tries to crawl, suction cups popping as it grips the steel and drags forward.
Another open water surge ripples the surface, a single arm tip flicking sunlightless foam like a whip.
They hose and lever the 2,000-ton supergiant octopus into a reinforced bin, keeping hands away from the suction cups.
Inside the sealed bin, the 2,000-ton supergiant octopus presses outward, warping the walls with slow, unstoppable force.
The crew checks knots and shackles twice, because 5 tons of muscle does not forgive mistakes.
A final retrieval pull brings up more tangled leaders, showing how the animal wrapped the line like rope.
On the open ocean, a broad dome rises and sinks, leaving a spiral wake that slowly unwinds.
The storm intensifies, and the camera struggles to keep focus as rain streaks smear across the lens.
They secure the bin to deck tie-downs, ratchet straps humming under tension as the ship rolls.
The sealed bin shudders as the 2,000-ton supergiant octopus shifts inside, and the whole deck goes quiet.
Far away, another surface swell appears, confirming the deep is still busy, even after their catch.
They rinse the deck quickly, pushing slime and seawater towards scuppers while the wind howls.
The bin is craned toward the hold, swinging slightly as the operator fights gusts and rolling waves.
Inside the hold, chilled air fogs the camera as the bin settles onto pallets with a heavy clack.
They slam the hatch shut, muffling the storm.
Out at sea, the last surface bulge fades into darkness, leaving only whitecaps and wind noise.
The storm finally eases, revealing calmer swells as the vessel approaches industrial harbor lights. Crew in rain gear wipes salt off the camera lens, revealing crisp deck details again. A forklift-ready pallet holds the sealed bin, strapped tight around the 2,000-ton supergiant octopus for transport.
They radio docking instructions. Voices calm now, while the ship's horn echoes across the port.
A final compliance check shows the catch tag attached, but the camera never resolves any print clearly.
The shot holds on the sealed bin as it trembles once, suggesting enormous strength still inside.
The deck wide shot reveals stacked bins and gear, everything soaked and shining under floodlights after the storm.
From a second wide angle, the crane, rails, and secured cargo show just how industrial this catch truly was.
At the dock, the ship nudges in, and dock workers guide lines while forklifts idle nearby.
Pallets slide into a refrigerated truck, cold vapor spilling out as the doors hang open briefly.
The truck doors close with a heavy seal, and the camera catches only blank panels and smeared stickers.
All right, bring it straight back. Watch the line.
Got it. Look centered.
Perfect. Lower it slowly.
They open the bin lid slightly for inspection, revealing purple-gray skin and pale suction cups without any visible wounds.
The body is transferred into a stainless trough, and water jets rinse salt and grit off in steady sheets.
A worker checks firmness with a gloved press, watching rebound and texture under bright inspection lights.
A worker checks firmness with a gloved press, watching rebound and texture under bright inspection lights. They separate the arms carefully and guide the body onto the conveyor without tearing any tissue.
A rotating brush station scrubs the outer skin, stripping slime in a controlled rinse under bright lights.
In close-up, suction cups flex and relax as water streams over them in steady sheets.
Workers steer the mantle into the trimming bay, keeping hands clear and movements slow and methodical. They align the arms on a cutting table, suction cups down to prevent slipping during portioning.
Unclean separation cut reveals pale seafood flesh, and the camera avoids any graphic detail.
A tenderizing station gently rolls the meat, softening fibers while keeping the surface intact. They trim skin edges for uniformity, making small, consistent cuts that keep portions neat.
A rinsing curtain washes trimmed pieces, water cascading evenly while trays glide forward.
Workers grade portions by size and place them into tubs, keeping everything clean and organized.
Trays pass through a metal detection gate, indicators visible but never readable on camera. Portions move onto a chilled staging rack, frost haze forming at the edges of stainless steel.
A precision knife trims a mantle sheet, revealing smooth ivory meat beneath a thin purple skin.
They peel the skin in one controlled pull, leaving a glossy surface ready for premium packing.
A worker squares edges into uniform shapes and stacks them neatly for consistent downstream packing.
Macro detail shows suction cup rings trimmed cleanly, leaving smooth circular patterns on each piece.
Portions dip briefly into chilled brine and rise dripping in slow, clear streams.
A supervisor checks thickness for consistency using tools kept deliberately unreadable on camera.
They separate a thick collar cut, showing dense fibers that look like clean seafood, never like red meat.
Small offcuts drop into a clean secondary bin, kept tidy and rinsed frequently during production.
A wash station sprays trays clean, and water beads roll across stainless under harsh fluorescent glare. Portions are laid into uniform rows on trays, aligned for automated packing with no wasted space.
A middle-aged Hispanic female worker pulls one imperfect piece aside for review, tagging it without letting any print become readable.
They add a final rinse, and the meat surface turns glossy, pale, and perfectly clean.
Trays pause under inspection lights, and the camera captures clean reflections with no readable signage. The conveyor restarts, carrying finished portions forward with steady hum and precise spacing. A cutter forms thick tentacle steaks, each slice landing with a soft thud into a chilled tray.
They portion smaller medallions from mantle sheets, keeping thickness consistent for even cooking later.
A tumbler gently massages the portions, improving tenderness without shredding the surface. Workers blot moisture carefully, preventing watery packs and keeping the texture clean and firm. A checkweigh station verifies tray weights, but the display remains intentionally unreadable throughout.
The line splits into two streams, separating premium tentacle cuts from mantle portions for mixed packs.
A worker seals lids on staging trays, snapping each one shut with a crisp, repeatable motion.
Cold air blasts over the line, forming tiny crystals on tray edges as production keeps moving.
A supervisor lifts one piece for a final color check, confirming a pale, uniform seafood tone.
Trays queue in a long, orderly line, ready for the final packing step without any spills.
A wide shot shows the full processing line running smoothly, with trays flowing past wash and inspection stations.
From a second wide angle, conveyors and workstations align in one continuous corridor of cold, clean steel.
The camera tracks synchronized tray movement, each station timed like choreography in a refrigerated workflow.
Workers feed trays into the packing handoff, keeping spacing tight and surfaces spotless.
The final wide view ends at the packing entrance as sealed trays disappear into cold machinery. A vacuum sealer draws tight, plastic hugging the octopus portions until the surface looks glassy and smooth. Packed units slide onto a labeling arm, but all print stays blurred and unreadable by design.
A carton sealer tapes shut boxes, and the camera captures only blank tape and smeared marks.
Boxes enter a blast freezer tunnel, fog rolling out like smoke as pallets creep forward. Inside cold storage, pallets stand in tall rows, frost crystals catching light on plastic wrap.
A forklift lifts wrapped pallets into a refrigerated trailer, moving slowly to keep stacks perfectly aligned.
The reefer doors seal shut, and the scene ends on the steady thrum of cold chain refrigeration.
In a supermarket freezer aisle, a shopper opens the glass door and lifts a sealed pack into the cart.
At checkout, the pack slides across the scanner, with screens and receipts kept unreadable in frame.
At home, the pack opens on a clean board, revealing pale octopus portions ready for simple cooking.
Octopus sears in a hot pan, edges curling slightly as steam rises, and the surface turns lightly golden.
Octopus sears in a hot pan, edges curling slightly as steam rises, and the surface turns lightly golden.
A finished plate is sliced to show tender, pale interior, then served simply with lemon and herbs.
In a restaurant kitchen, a chef lays octopus portions on a grill, listening for the first clean sizzle. The chef brushes a light glaze and turns the pieces once, creating char marks while keeping them tender.
A diner takes one bite, nods in surprise, and the camera holds on the plate's clean, pale slices. Back on the vessel, the crew hoses down the deck, stowing longline gear neatly into racks. At the plant, workers sanitize tables and tools, rinsing stainless surfaces until they shine under bright lights.
At sunset, the 150-meter vessel slips away from the port, lights glowing warm against a calm horizon.